You're listening to Cool Air Hot Takes.
Welcome to Cool Air Hot Takes. I'm Charlie Jelen.
And I'm Dan Gentry. Every couple of weeks, we get together and bring you the latest in HVAC news. Of course, we do hot takes, and we also have expert interviews with industry leaders.
And this week, special thanks to Andy Price and Jeremy Lee for helping us get this one set up. We've got Mike Fierro. He's the supply chain manager at SourceBlue for Turner Construction. We're going to talk about large-scale supply chain management. It's everybody's favorite topic, supply chain. We're going to talk about direct purchasing, how that's changed, and what's changed in the space over the last 2 decades. Later on, we're going to talk HVAC headlines. We're going to have another great installment of Dan Inside the Factory, and then we'll close it out with Stat of the Day.
Sounds like a great show. Man, season 2 finale.
It is season 2 finale. You know, listener out there, we do short seasons. We do 6-episode seasons, which I don't know if that's a marketing ploy or what that is.
Who knows?
But I do like having the season opener and season finale. It feels like we're...
Yeah, it's like an accomplishment.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally agree. So
this is the finale. This is the finale. Season 2 finale. All right, Dano, I got to ask you a question. Are you taking any supplements? Are you a supplement guy?
I don't take subs. I'm just a natural, everything you see here is what you get.
Just a little bit of Old Thompson every day. And
steak and whiskey pretty much is what fuels me.
Okay. Well, so I started taking creatine, which when I was told I should start taking creatine by friends, I was like, well, I thought only high school wrestlers took a creatine.
Yeah, I remember the creatine phase back in the day. Yeah. I think I probably dabbled in some, but I didn't really get all in other.
Yeah, totally.
I never hit the gym that hard, so I figured it's kind of one of those things you got to do together.
Yeah. Well, it's not like I'm hitting the gym hard that much right now.
I mean, you look good.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. But I did start taking creatine, and I have noticed a difference. It's great. I love it.
Really?
A little more energy. So my workouts are like road biking, mountain biking.
Yep.
A little more energy in those.
No, I like that. I was thinking about getting on the whole like testosterone. I mean, I'm 41.
Little horse dewormer.
Yeah, I don't know. Do I need to do that? I haven't dove into that yet.
All right. Moving past the subs, but wanted to take a slight detour there.
Yeah,
hot take time.
I can go.
Okay.
My hot take revolves around chillers with brazed plate heat exchangers. So think like a lot of modular chillers, small chillers with scroll compressors. The hot take is check the strainers in those bad boys. A lot of those chillers have onboard strainers. And a lot of times what we hear, my design pressure drop is 10 feet. Why am I getting 25 feet across my chiller? What's going on? And the first thing I would say, check those strainers. It's a pretty simple maintenance thing, but a lot of times people don't even know if they're there. So if you don't know they're not there, you got to clean those bad boys.
Love it. It's a good one. All right. Mine is the originator of this one is actually Mick Schwedler. Mm-hmm. He would say this all the time. AEDGs need to be used more often.
What's an AEDG?
Advanced Energy Design Guide is what AEDG stands for. They are absolutely free. They're put together by ASHRAE, so it's open source, but they are design guides for all sorts of different building types, multifamily, K-12, office buildings, grocery stores, hospitals, big box, lodging, warehouse, basically any kind of building that you want to design. There's a Advanced Energy Design Guide. And the way that they're set up is there's different levels. So you can pick a 30% AEDG, which means it's 30% better than code minimum. There's also a 50% better, and there's even a net zero design guide. These aren't like a paint by number. It's not like you use this thing and it's going to tell you exactly what to do. It is like a best practice for all parts of your building design. Use the stuff you like, don't use the stuff you don't, but at least it gets you set in the right direction. And there's so much good information, especially if you're early career. Check these out. AEDGs, absolutely free.
No, that's really great. And I would say me and even our group uses those all the time to reference people too. Like a common one that we'll get is, what should my delta T be? It's not supposed to be 5444. That's a random number.
Yep.
But what should it be? And I always refer to that guide because they have different levels of guidance and their ranges. So it's like, just gets you thinking about what's a good place to start.
Absolutely. All right.
Good one.
Remember, we want to hear your hot takes. We want to get your questions. Let us know what you've got. You can send us an email, coolair.hottakes@trane.com. You can leave us a review on Apple or leave us a comment on YouTube or Spotify. You can also find all of the information from the show in the show notes for every episode.
Next, we are going to have your HVAC headlines.
HVAC Headlines. Your news today.
All right, listener, it's 4:30 in Reykjavik. Here's your headlines.
First headline is we are highlighting the 355th CES at the Davis-Monthon Air Force Base. I just thought this was kind of cool. It's mixing HVAC and the military together. This is really, it's located in the heart of Tucson, Arizona, and it's home to 11,000 airmen from 34 unique mission partners. They support 6 combat commanders around the globe every day. Pretty cool. But really what their task is, their job is to maintain the plant, keep everybody comfortable, and most recently was awarded the 2018 Commander-in-Chief's Annual Award for Installation Excellence as the best base in the Air Force. Who doesn't like the military and HVAC mixed together?
Yeah, I wonder what it takes to be the best Air Force base in the world.
I've never heard of the Commander-in-Chief's Annual Award for Installation Excellence, but it sounds...
Well, it's clearly you need to have like top-notch HVAC. You need to have some good air conditioning, especially in Tucson would be my guess. But like good buffet, like good food, like what goes into that award?
That's a great question.
Our veterans out there, if you're listening,
let us know.
Shoot us an email, coolair.hottakes@trane.com if you have any idea here. But it was cool. So the picture of this team here is in front of what looks to be a hangar. You'd find it in the show notes. And they're standing in front of the facility known as the Beast.
The Beast.
Which powers over a quarter of the air conditioning throughout the facility. What do you think the Beast is? I did actually tried to Google search it here quick, and they don't tell you what's on the base.
You could see some pipes. I believe there's a chilled water plant.
Well, do you think it's water-cooled chillers and cooling towers?
I think it's
ammonia?
Chillers. I think it's water-cooled chillers with cooling towers, just my guess, but...
Think centrifugal?
Yeah.
I do too.
I do.
It looks big.
Yep.
All right.
It's a beast.
All right. Good on you guys. Keep the Air Force cold over there.
Thank you for your service, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you for your service. All right. Headline number 2. The headline reads, what comes after R454B and R32? Oh. So this is from ACHR News, but this comes up all the time, is R454B and R32 replaced R410A. R410A had a GWP,
1,400, 2,000, something like that.
Yeah. And we needed to get down to like 700, 750. And so 454B, R32, those were the replacements that we're using. And the equipment that we're primarily talking about is unitary equipment. Rooftops, water source heat pumps, things like that.
Small stuff, scroll compressors.
Yeah, primarily small, under 200 tons typically. The other side of the commercial equipment, bigger stuff, air-cooled chillers, water-cooled chillers, we're using GWPs that are much lower, and we have options that are under 10. So we call them ultra-low GWP. And so the general industry consensus is at some point in time, it looks like we're going to have to take another step down in GWP for these high-pressure refrigerants that we use in the unitary space. I'm not sure that's actually going to be required in the short run.
Okay.
With this current administration where the EPA sits right now, they're not pushing. They're actually looking to pull back some of the AIM rule. So I don't know if this is going to happen in the short run, but maybe long term, if we did have to go to lower GWP refrigerants, that's what this article gets at, is like, what would the options be? And long story short, there's not a lot of great options.
I was going to ask, what do they even pose any viable?
Well, if you go to Europe, they're using propane. Propane's got really low GWP, ultra low GWP. And it's really efficient as a refrigerant, but
flammable.
Very flammable. Not even a 2, it's a 3 category on the flammability chart. It'd be a big change. And it's nothing that we couldn't work through. Like obviously, if you think about like how you heat your home or how you heat most businesses, you've got natural gas piped into your building, and that is very flammable as well. So there's clearly ways that we can get around it. This is a different ball game, but we could work through it. I don't think it's going to happen in any short amount of time here. But that's what they're getting at, is like what's next on the horizon. And this has been a rough transition from 410A, especially for split systems. Like how do you replace the outdoor condensing unit with the indoor coil? Do you have to replace the whole thing? And then UL, and there's been a little bit of, and like there's been some supply chain issues. So I don't think anybody's really excited about moving to another refrigerant right now. I think we got to let this play out a little bit, but
yeah, we'll see what happens.
All right. Up next, we got Mike Fierro, supply chain manager at SourceBlue for Turner Construction. Don't go anywhere. For all you listeners out there working in the data center space, listen up. Trane has a dedicated team of specialists here to support your efforts. Need help with detailed chiller layouts?
Bingo.
Complete hydronic and energy distribution design, including CDUs, Crosse, and fan coil walls?
Bingo.
Constructing a microgrid to provide your own power?
Bingo.
That's right. Trane has the resources to back you up. Reach out to us at coolair.hottakes@trane.com or connect directly with me, Charlie Jelen, on LinkedIn to learn how we can help support your next project.
Bingo.
And now, back to the show. All right, listener. Today, we have a friend of the show who does not need an introduction because he's not afraid of talking. All right. So today we have Mike Fierro. He's the supply chain manager at SourceBlue for Turner Construction. Mike, welcome to Cool Air Hot Takes. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Where are you at? Where are you located? Where are you from? Background. Give us a little bit of who Mike Fierro is.
Sure. So I'm located in New York, actually in Rockland County.
How far away are you from like your home?
3 miles.
Nice. We have that like in common. I was born and raised in La Crosse, and I live right down the road from where I was.
Yeah.
All three of us are within 3 miles of our like original home. Yeah. That's pretty cool. All right. So grew up there, raised there. How'd you get into construction?
It's a family thing. My dad was in construction. My sister works for Turner Construction as well. I got a few cousins. My father-in-law and my brother-in-law are both in the industry. I was a mechanical engineer at school by trade, but I was in automotive and they didn't pay much. So I moved over to construction. They paid a lot more up front. So, and that's how I was interning. That's how I got my job. I basically never had a job interview in my life, if you could believe that.
How nice. And you've been just went up through the ranks, jumping.
Went right through it, yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
That was awesome. People like, what should I do for a job interview? I'm like, I don't know. Never did it before, so I couldn't tell you.
That was pretty good. All right, so job interview question. If you had to be, no, I'm just kidding. So you've been at Turner Construction how long?
Almost 25 years, since 2000.
25 years. Nice. All right. Well, the name of the show is Cool Air Hot Takes. And so every guest we have on, we have them bring a hot take with them. Could be from your personal life, professional life, anything in between. Did you bring a hot take today?
Yeah, we did.
What do you got?
So I wanted to talk just on when I was dealing with this sustainability and electrification, right? And what I want to touch on is how I think in the U.S., we didn't do a great job of it because we tried to do it too quickly, right? And I think it's something we have to do. And I think Trane was one of the first people with the heat pump technology, the new refrigerants, and all these things that are great. Mm-hmm. However, we were trying to run so fast, which you should do in order to get people to innovate, that we didn't do the transition well enough. And now I feel that because we ran so fast and so hard, and some people didn't like that, we're taking a step back that we shouldn't be if we were able to transition it better. You know,
all right.
I like that. Can you dig in a little more? Like, did like a problem manifest? Like, were projects difficult to get off of or get going and going operation? Like, were they complex, or what kind of hurdles were there?
So I think the biggest problem that they had was people try to do, say, a job in, I don't know, Canada with heat pumps. Mm-hmm. And for lack of a better word, especially when the technology first came out, it was just too cold. And they couldn't do it. Either they needed some like ridiculous arrays, or they didn't have enough power, which Canada usually doesn't, but in like other places in the US, the grid wasn't strong enough. It wasn't reliable enough, where with the natural gas and stuff, it still can do it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the design was difficult because they were trying to do this thing and get everything heat pump, everything electrified. Switch gears were so much bigger, and they just didn't quite understand it. I think really the grid was the hardest part, that you don't have that infrastructure to support the electrification, even on just like the grid itself with renewables and whatnot. So many renewables, but then because so variable, storage wasn't really there, the technology wasn't the best, and they had to waste a lot of things. So I think that transition just went a little too fast, and we're kind of backtracking. So hopefully we can get back on track. And I see it a lot with the heat pump jobs. We're getting way better now. And the hydronic side is better, but it was just, we went too fast.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. I feel like you hear more people say that we're not moving fast enough.
Yes.
And they look to Europe and they're like, yeah, look at what they're doing and all these things. And there's a million different variables that go into why and how and all that good stuff. But to say that we went too fast or tried to follow that too fast, it's an interesting take. Mm-hmm. And that leads us in. Let's start with where you're at now. All right. So you are managing a supply chain for a massive company. All right. Give us an idea. What is this role that you have about? What are the main things that as a supply chain manager for SourceBlue, what are you doing?
So I'm the product manager. So I support regional people across all of North America, globally as well, to assist them in either suggesting certain vendors that we deal with, because my team also travels out to all the factories. We see it, we understand the capabilities of them. So if someone says, hey, I have a hospital in Michigan and it's a $30 million air handling job custom with these types of options. The spec says X, we have all these people. Who do you also recommend? What are the pros and cons? Who are your contacts there, right? Because we have contacts direct at the factories. So since we get that, we can, for lack of a better word, kind of cut through the BS of some things that might happen and understand if someone's giving us a yes, 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 or someone's telling us the truth. So we can give our people better information and give the clients a more informed decision on whoever they're picking in the equipment.
I've got to imagine as a supply chain manager that your level of interest has changed in the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Like pre-COVID versus after COVID.
Meaning, how do you feel about lead times?
Yeah, like before COVID, supply chain, I don't even know if like maybe I heard that word once a year.
Totally.
And now I hear it every day.
Yeah.
So what happened in COVID and how does that change your role?
Well, I mean, COVID for me as the supply chain manager, I'll call it the fire drill guy, right? So putting out fires was terrible, right? It was every day, lead time, stuff is late. What do we do? How do we do it? But it also was very helpful, to Charlie's point, before COVID, like, supply chain, what's that?
Yeah.
After COVID, everybody's, oh my God, you work in supply chain? What do you do? And then all of a sudden people want to talk to you, right? So it was one of the best sales pitches we ever had. And our revenue growth totally backs that up. 22, 23, we went up 4 and 5x. Because at that point, people understood the value of knowing your supply chain.
Yeah.
So it was phenomenal for us. So we had jobs, and a lot of the jobs were, hey, what equipment do I order so I can meet my schedule, right?
Yep.
So you say ECM fans. Right. Oh my God, ECM fans, 90, 100 weeks. So let's go back to AC motors and VFDs and we can do this. But if you get this one, if you have different sizes, these are only like 40 weeks, right? So we were able to get in a lot more on the early side, work with the engineers and help them, right? And say, here's your design, great. But if we change this and this, your lead time will go from 80 weeks to 30. Still meet your design intent. But because we know you can't get this, go with here. This vendor is doing better, right? There were certain vendors that built up inventory before COVID and they destroyed everybody else. If they didn't do that buildup, it was done.
Yeah. Yeah. So pre-purchasing is a huge thing in our industry now, especially the data center side. How long has that been going on?
I think it's been going on for years, right? We've been doing it for 22 years.
What were historically like the projects that you guys were doing that for?
So again,
and what were the products that you were doing?
Okay, so projects, right, in 2001 when we started was the data center. At that point, it was when the cloud started to get built out, right? Yep. And then the Microsofts and the hyperscalers and all those guys were like, hey, we can't get generators, we can't get switchgear. At that time, it was like 30 weeks was the end of the world, right? So they didn't understand where it could possibly go.
I'd love 30 weeks right now. Yeah.
Wow. Right, so Turner Construction's like, how do we get a hold of this? Like, this is a huge problem. And then they grabbed people from the industry, brought them in, said, hey, like, what are the turns we need? And how do we set this up so that we can get preferential slots and scheduling and pricing? Yeah. And Turner Logistics, which is what SourceBlue used to be known as, was born out of that. So again, the big products that we deal with on the mechanical side is chillers. That's number one. On the electrical side, it was generators and switchgear. And some high voltage transformers. Those are the big lead time stuff in the data center world.
So that's historically been the case where those are the items that you're pre-purchasing. Through COVID and now AI boom, is it all still the same stuff or like what drives those decisions?
Most of the time it's lead time, right? Because we can be involved before a contractor's on board or any of that stuff. And also you don't even need your full design, right? You don't have to have your distribution stuff done and we could order a chiller. You could order air handlers.
Okay, I do have to ask, sorry to interrupt you, but like that sounds risky, right? Because
it's true.
A lot of the units that we design are customizable. There's a billion different iterations that we can do on any given chiller. At what point does the design has to progress to some level?
Yes.
Where it's like, all right, we'll buy that now. And then the design progresses and then you just hope at the end that it matches up. Like, how do you guys manage that risk?
there's a point where you have to be assertive, right? So let's go to a real big job. We do design assist. We have a chiller. We know approximately how many tons. Let's say the air handlers change slightly, coils change slightly as we're moving along. If we have to make a design change or take one chiller out and add it, we can do that things and do it. But there will be a point where we say, hey, listen, I need to be done now. The factory has to be finished. They have to finish their engineering if we're going to hit the date.
That seems like such a tough one because the systems that are ultimately serving a lot of these big projects are all bespoke. Mm-hmm. If you were still doing it plan and spec and not pre-purchasing anything, how much extra time would your typical data center take today?
Oh, my months, especially on the electrical side for transformers and generators. Sometimes chillers, right? Sometimes your chillers can be 50 to 70 weeks, right?
Well, and it can be an issue too. You think with any factory, when you're going to put in an order that is so large, you get those spots. And if you want to make a change, it may not be as easy as just moving that slot up or down a little bit. It could be big.
And properly phasing out the job too, right? Because if we have a couple of jobs that are about 150 chillers a piece, you're not getting 150 chillers at one time.
Right.
You're getting 2 a week or something like that. It's got to be phased out.
What general product category has the longest lead times?
I would say generators or high voltage transformers. And again, on the mechanical side, chillers, without a doubt. It's the biggest expense because we have like the fan walls or data center CDUs.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Even those, they're not to 25 weeks, 30 weeks, something like that, again, for the first one to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think generators now, some of them are still like 150 weeks.
Jeez.
Really? Wow.
100. I hadn't heard that.
Yeah, for a specific size that someone gets it. Because again, with these data centers, you could have one client send one of our vendors $1 billion PO for equipment with a B. That was with a B, not with an M.
I always hear that about switchgear, and I always like Eaton is down, whatever, east of us on the interstate, and I see those green boxes rolling down the interstate, and I'm always thinking, man, somebody's got to be so happy to be getting that gear, and I really hope that truck doesn't, have an accident or something.
Yeah, that happens too.
Yeah, what advice would you give people around that, right? Like you're coming from the supply chain from like a really big company and you're a big buyer and you're working on big projects. If you had one piece of advice to give to the people designing those projects from a supply chain lens, what would you tell them as they sit down to start?
I think the biggest thing to do
one thing
is you have to make sure we get all of the people in the room, right? Let's stick with data centers. Make sure you have the IT guys in there, the procurement guy, like all the stakeholders. They have to be together. If they're not, and there's some silos that happen, then things won't happen properly. Or someone's like, hey, I'm a facilities guy. No one asked me a question. Like, I don't want to use this person, or I don't like these motors, right? Get everyone into the room, expectations are set, and you'll be able to design better and have your job run smoother, more efficiently. SourceBlue's in the room.
Does that ever happen?
It does. I think now we work with some of the hyperscalers directly, and some of them have us on some of the fastest moving jobs you can imagine. We built a job with one of the hyperscalers. It was a 36 megawatt low density facility. Mm-hmm. We built from dirt on the ground to operating data center in 2.5 months. Yes, I said 2.5 months.
How many serious procurement happening on something?
And
how many parts did you steal from other jobs? Be honest.
The client did. The client did, and we helped him out with that. But on that one, we had Trane air handlers that were the fan wall units. We got the request on Wednesday. We spoke with Trane on Thursday. We issued the PO on Friday, and there were units on the floor on Saturday morning at Fort Smith. That's not a joke.
You do know your factories. You do know your factories, don't you? Holy yes.
It's impressive.
And I was there Tuesday after that. I was at Fort Smith, and like 16 units were already built. So in less than a week, we went from order, design, submittal, units on the floor, 16 units built in like 5 days.
Good job, Fort Smith, huh?
I didn't know you'd help us out so much on the marketing side here today, but I don't mind it. I appreciate it. All right, Mike, thanks so much for coming on. That was awesome. It was a good conversation. Learned a lot about supply chain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, thank you guys for having me. This was awesome.
Thank you. Hey, Charlie.
Hey, buddy.
Did you catch Trane's latest webinar on VRF systems?
Don't know why your voice is going so high, but no, I haven't. What's it about?
Well, it's actually about understanding the impact of A2L refrigerants on VRF system design and installation.
Oh, yeah. Lots to unpack on that one.
Absolutely. Lots to consider on how VRF systems are designed with next generation refrigerants.
Death, taxes, and refrigerant transition. Sounds like a must watch for any engineer. Where can our listeners find this gem?
Oh, you bet. Just go to trane.com/VRF or click on the link listed in our podcast episode below. How about we get back to the show? Okay, listener, this week we are going back in the factory. This has been an organic segment, if you will.
Grassroots.
We had some grassroots engagement on this. So this week we are actually going to go into one of our testing labs where we test chillers, and it's going to be really cool. So let's go to the lab. All right, listener. I am in our lab in La Crosse, Wisconsin, and I have a guest today, Mr. Mooney with. Do you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is John Mooney. I've worked at Trane for a little over 8 years. I got around 2 years of experience working in the factory doing like brazing and assembly. Got my associate degree in HVAC, and then I managed to get an internship in the lab, so I had to leave the factory and come over here.
It seems like a really cool place. You guys have like a ton of technology and like tons of different stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of new products, and you get to hear about what's happening throughout the company a lot over here, because everything that the field returns that are more difficult to fix gets sent over here.
So you guys get to fix it all.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's go walk on the floor and look at a couple things and see what we can find. All right, we're standing in like the middle bay area. I think I see 20 different chillers set up here of varying compressor technologies. I see modular, package, screw, centrifugal, scroll. It looks like this is some kind of a test unit. I probably can't ask too many questions about this one. It kind of looks like a Frankenstein, and it's got a code name, but it looks like, it's got scroll compressors, several braze plate heat exchangers. We're gonna put something neat together here.
Yeah, so it's just going to be heating only.
Okay.
For that.
Okay. Very cool. And then behind us, we got a whole array of large centrifugal chillers, so different refrigerant testing, different performance, longevity.
Yep, so this one here, they're working on field failures.
They're surprisingly, it probably sounds loud on the audio, but for the size of this machine, it's not very loud. I mean, that's a big machine. That's a lot of capacity. 1,000 tons or so, and it's not too bad.
Yeah, I think that's a 1,300 ton chiller.
Okay.
It can get very loud, or it can go pretty quiet.
I love it.
All right, Danny boy, that was good. A little peek behind the curtain in the lab there. What did they have anything else you're going to bring Dan inside the factory too that was in the lab?
Are you alluding to another segment?
I think we're going to keep it going.
I think our guest may just have to stay tuned. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, listener, if you've got ideas or if you've got suggestions on other things that you'd like to hear about inside the factory, inside the lab, inside our offices, just let us know. coolair.hottakes@trane.com. Up next, stat of the day.
Here comes your stat of the day. Stat of the day. Stat of the day.
All right, listener, we've got a scary tale for you today. The stat is coming from Visual Capitalist, and the title is Where AI Gets Its Facts From.
Oh, interesting.
So the most cited sources, so top 10 domains cited by large language models, so ChatGPT, all the other ones.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go 10 to 1. So number 10, OpenStreetMap.com.
Never heard of it.
Same. Mapbox.
Never heard of it.
TripAdvisor.
Mm-hmm.
Amazon.
Okay.
Facebook, Yelp, Google, YouTube, Wikipedia. The number one most cited fact-based site is Reddit.
So doesn't this sound a little concerning? I mean, you do see these things like people send posts of like bad AI results or whatever. And it's like, well, I'm guessing if you're polling like Wikipedia and Reddit as your top two.
I personally use Wikipedia as like a fact base, especially, you know what I use it for the most is years of albums.
Oh, well, yes.
And it does a really good job of
Yes.
like discography
Yeah,
for
okay.
bands.
I do the same like for movies, looking for like a cast or whoever did this thing.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Okay.
Anyways. So there's your stat of the day. Thanks for listening to this episode of Cool Air Hot Takes. Thank you so much, Mike Fierro, for coming on and talking to us today. Thank you to the Cool Air Hot Takes production team. Thank you, Elena, Bailey, Ainsley, Katie, and Christy. You guys are awesome.
Thank you. A heads up, this is a wrap for season 2, so thank you everybody for joining us on this wild ride. We can confirm, this is good news, that season 3 will be back in a few weeks, so keep your eyes open and looking at your feeds for that to drop. And as always, in the meantime, you can keep sending us your questions, comments, hot takes. Leave us a comment on Spotify or YouTube. Leave us a review on Apple. Drop us a message at coolair.hottakes@trane.com. And don't forget, you can always leave us a 5-star rating wherever you listen. And until next time, stay cool and keep those takes hot.